Welcome back once again. We are looking after as to what is that about the small scale industry. Small scale industry, we mean to say about the MSME segment. So other than the startup, we have to give a lot of importance to the small scale industry or the medium, small scale and micro industry segment. So why is it so important to give the importance to this kind of a segment? Why is that a lot of support that the government is announcing for this segment? So we have to understand that after agriculture, the industry or the sector which is giving more of its employment to the citizens of the country is the MSME segment. And also we know that entrepreneurship is having a very big advantage of giving an accelerating effect to the employment. So when it comes to the government's portfolio of providing livelihoods to its population, the MSME segment employs a lot of population. So the acceleration effect, what has been said in the case of entrepreneurship, works out a lot to extend to the economy for increasing the GDP as well as offering livelihoods to the bottom line population. So that is why a lot of SOAPs has been announced for the small scale industry, and lot of schemes are available for encouraging women to take up small scale industries and offer employment to the people who are there in order to support the economy. So we will see something about the small scale industry, what are the policies which are governing the small scale industry, and over the years why importance have given to the small scale industry, and also we will be also seeing as to what are the problems that are afflicting the small scale industry. So generally an outlook of the small scale industry is attempted in this module. So if you are just looking at the MSMEs in India, the financial year 2022. So these many number of MSMEs, rural MSMEs and urban MSMEs, if you make the classification, 51% of the MSMEs are coming in the rural sector, and there are 49% which are established in the urban segment. And when it comes to the registered MSMEs in India in financial year 2022, we can see that the small scale, the micro enterprises are the highest. 76.27% are coming under this micro enterprise category, and the medium and the small scale enterprise is owning up only 4% and 1% of the segment. So you can see that this is telling that the micro enterprises are having a traction in the Indian economy and helping the bottom line to find out a place in enhancing the livelihoods or earning and livelihood for themselves. So 95% of the micro enterprises happens to be in that segment. So that you can assume that this is going to be making an impact on the livelihoods, earning capacity as well as the employment potential. Now if you are just looking at the number of MSMEs, MSME contribution towards India's manufacturing output, the number of MSMEs is 6.3 crore and the contribution towards India's manufacturing output is 33.4. That is a considerable whopping number. Number of MSMEs under Udyog Aadhar memorandum is 1.02 crore. So it has been registered, and the number of registered MSMEs on the Udyam registration portal is 9.58 million. So there could be registered and unregistered MSMEs which are working in the segment. So if it is a registered body, the support that you acquire from the different agencies will be on the higher side. So this can be attributed as the involvement of the MSMEs in providing the economic growth and also the employment potential of these MSMEs. So if you are just looking at the registered micro enterprises, it is estimated to be 9.15 million. The registered small enterprises, it is 391,000, and the registered mid-size enterprises is 38,077. So this being the numbers, we'll go to what is the role or importance of MSMEs in developing countries. So as we said, we started the discussion telling about the large employment opportunities and promotion of self-employment. We discussed the same thing when it came to the startups as well. When you are trying to just look at what is the startups potential, they provide self-employment to the person, and also they provide the employment to 5 other people. So the acceleration potential of the employment could be seen out of this. That is, if you assume that there is a micro enterprise, you assume that there is another 5% which are who are depending upon this micro enterprise for the employment. Maybe say the direct employment, or could be the indirect kind of a dependence. Like if you are having a micro enterprise which is undertaking the processing of the fruits, of course the fruit farmer is getting the advantage that they'll be able to sell their products out to them, or they'll find an assured market for the products that they or the produce that they have. And also there is also another people who are depending upon the products that these micro enterprises are making. It is of course the intermediaries and the marketing agencies which will also earn a part of it. And at the end of the day, if you are just trying to look at what are the essential or what is the benefit to the community, of course they are getting a choice of the products. And if you are just looking at the micro enterprises, we can see that they are mostly using the indigenous technology and the things that are locally available in order to manufacture the value added products. So this gives an impetus to the local economy as well. And people have the access to the genuine kind of a products when it comes to the products that are manufactured by these local manufacturers. Then another thing is when you are trying to have look at this MSMEs, one of the major things major factors which help in the development of this enterprises is balanced regional development. So from the independence itself, we know that India is a country which is having different regions. One regional disparity could be the difference between the urban and the rural. And also another disparity could be regions like the southern region, eastern region and northeastern region, the southwestern region, like you have different regions, and all these regions are developing in a different pace. So this pace cannot be, or there should be a balanced regional development between the regions. There should not be any disparity. There should not be any disparity between the rural and the urban. Of course, there is a disparity, and what is happening is that there is a migration which is happening from the rural areas to urban areas in order to seek the fruits of development, and the urban areas are being congested. So it is very much essential that there should not be any lopsided development. So what could you do to enhance this development where the development has not happened, or how can you just penetrate this development into the peripherals of where you do not have that kind of a development in the region. So the balanced regional development is given an impetus by the entrepreneurial opportunities. So even if it is a rural area, there could be the resources that could be wasted, in fact which are not used. So it is for the economy to find out, the local economy to find out what are the local resources that is available in your area, which can be used for some kind of an economic activity that can be used for the developing the, for example, in some areas, the balanced region, when you are telling about the balanced regional development, some areas will be having some or some concentration of some kind of a product. For example, if you are just looking at Ernakulam district, you can just find out that a product which is dominating or a produce which is dominating in the district is pineapple. Certain regions are well known for the pineapple. And what happens when there is a pineapple, the growing of the pineapples in one particular region? when there is a season for the pineapple, of course you have a glut in the market. And basically what happens in the market is that when there are all those farmers who are cultivating the pineapples, they bring all these pineapples to the market. Of course it is seasonal, it happens in a season, and when there is a seasonal glut in the market, they fail to get the prices, and you are not able to get these perishable product out there into the distant markets as well, and this results in a loss to the farmer. They are not able to harness the price that they might get for their product. So this results in what is known as a unbalanced growth, or the farmers who are growing this particular product will not be in a position to harness the required amount of profits out of it. So what can you do? Is it possible that the balanced regional development could be brought about by harnessing these local resources? So is it possible that we will be able to look up balanced regional development by enhancing the enterprises? So for this problem, what I have said, the glut of pineapple, it can happen for other products in other markets as well. So what can you do for that purpose? So basically, if you are just trying to solve this pineapple problem, the one option that you can have is go for pineapple value addition. So what kind of value addition possibilities are there when it comes to the pineapple? So you have to just explore and find out what is that market for the pineapple based products elsewhere in other geographies, and whether you are able to export that. So what kind of potential you have with that kind of products is one thing what you should explore. So this is enhancing the regional development. So you can just think about, or the government could be thinking about such kind of a policy initiatives which help the people think about starting an enterprise in that particular sector. So is it possible to think about that? So the government has thought about that, and there is a scheme known as One District One Product. And in Ernakulam district, they are offering the support to this particular product, that is pineapple. So if you are an entrepreneur who are doing the pineapple based kind of product development, value added products, etc., so you'll be getting an incentive, subsidies are offered and support is offered for starting such kind of enterprises. So that could be the idea behind it. So balanced regional development could be offered, or brings out the role or importance of this MSMEs in having this balanced regional development. Then what else? You are having the economic use of capital. So economical use of capital in the sense that the capital can be used for otherwise what happens is that the capital that you have in excess, you might be depositing with your bank. The opportunity cost of doing that will be, maybe if you are having an enterprise, we are just trying to view the business plan in the earlier modules. We are getting a very high returns out of it. If you just look at the IRR of it, it might be more than 50%, whereas your bank interest is only 9%. So you are trying to adjust your earnings, or if you are just comparing with the earnings which you have for the risk-free kind of a thing, and of course the bank, if you are depositing with the bank, you don't have any concern at all. You don't have to do anything. You sit there at your home and at the ease of the home and get the money. That is there. But if you are doing a business, of course you have to have a toil on that. But the use of the capital is advantageous for the person who is owning the capital, in the sense that it generates a lot of money out of it, or lot of returns out of it. The percentage of the returns that is generated out of the capital is on the higher side. Then another possibility is that when you are doing a business, you are having a shorter gestation period. So just like you have a higher returns, it is always possible that once you establish your business, it is always possible that you'll be earning your income. There's a no loss, no profit situation, and after which you'll be earning a profits alone, which will be adding back to the principal that is invested, or the money that you have invested. So this is a kind of a thing what is happening in the case of an MSME, because in the sense that you require lesser amount of capital. So investment of the plant in the plant and machinery and the buildings, or the investment that is required for a small scale industry, or for that matter if it is a micro industry, it will be on the lower scale. But you know, the returns that you can harness in the initial period can happen very easily. You know, if you are just pursuing it very vehemently, there will be only shorter gestation period for your returns to come in. Then this offers higher standard of living. So this example, higher standard of living, of course we are just telling about the earning pattern of a entrepreneur. So if you are just trying to observe any of that matter, any micro entrepreneurs, and see in Kerala we have the Kudumbashree experience of establishing this micro enterprise units in different districts, and they are coming up with a lot of success stories. So there are entrepreneurs who are able to enhance their standard of living just because of doing this. Their entrepreneurial capacity inherent and those which are trained are enabling them to bring forward a higher standard of living. In fact, we were having a project which was having a lot of exposure onto this micro enterprises. In fact, we are learning from those ladies who are at the bottom of the pyramid and do not have that kind of an education which helps them to start this entrepreneurial kind of an option. So what they are doing is that they are trying to pivot, experiment with whatever possibilities that are available. So one of the enterprise what we visited was a sanitary napkin manufacturing unit, wherein she was a young lady was in fact making a sanitary napkin made of cloth, which is almost at par with the international standard. That she had re-engineered the product after visiting a lot of websites and ordering the product, and just re-engineered the product, and she is coming out with the laurels, the product is extremely good. So this offers, and she has established a business and she has repaid the loan, and now she has is gaining the traction, expanding her business to different geographies. So this kind of higher standard of living can be found with the micro enterprises as well. So it is enhancing the standard of living. Another one what we visited was a painting. So unconventional business or unconventional services are also being taken up by this micro enterprises by ladies. So one of the units we visited undertook painting, express painting. So they were actually coming under the CSR activity of the Berger Paints. So what Berger Paints did was that they trained these ladies to do this express painting, and they gave a livelihood of painting activity to the ladies. To the surprise, we think that the painting cannot be done by the ladies, but that was an unconventional activity which is done by the ladies perfectly. They even paint the flats. So in the case of a flat, the peripherals of the flat could be a tricky kind of a thing for the ladies. For that, they engage third parties for that. But the inside of the flats and other kind of things, or any kind of, for that matter, any kind of building is painted by the ladies. And what improvement in the standard of living has been brought, that is the most adorable part of that. Their children are studying in good schools, having access to English education, what is the standard of the hour, and all these things are achieved by these ladies. So this assures what is known as a higher standard of living. Then we have the equitable distribution of income and wealth. So at the end of the day, when we are trying to look at the economy, we see that 5% are too much wealthy, and there is a middle class, and when we come to the lower class strata is on the higher side. So this tells you about the distribution, the inequitable distribution of the income and the wealth which is happening in the economies. So this could be a factor which is afflicting the economies that could be corrected by the government. So how do you do that? So the enterprise options. So otherwise what happens is that if you are trying to solve this problem by government kind of contributions, at the end of the day you are not empowering somebody. So giving a transfer payment is not going to help anybody. Giving a subsidy is not going to, just like a subsidy, or otherwise a pension is not going to help you. but you know, something which enhances your earning capacity is going to help you and be sustainable. So this enterprise option is one such option. But maybe, you know, the scaling up could be on the lower side, but you know, this is always enhancing the equitable distribution of the income and the wealth in an economy. Then what happens is, you know, mobilization of local resources. So as I said, you know, the local resources could be harnessed to an extent and used in a manner which is totally usable, or the local resources which could be wasted in the rural transacts could be used for the purpose of making some kind of an economic activity. For example, I was telling about, I think in some of the modules I had told about, you know, the jackfruit kind of a thing. Now if you look at any homesteads, for that matter any homesteads in Kerala, you will find a jack tree and a lot of jackfruits, which is actually wasted by the people. You are not able to eat such kind of jackfruits. So what is usually happening is that it takes its way to the other states where the jackfruits are not found in plenty, and you know, the people like jackfruits, and you know, the Keralites are not that, you know, transformed to a business mode where you process this jackfruits and send it to the other states. So there is a very big possibility of processing this jackfruit and finding out outlets for the market, or finding out a market in elsewhere, so that this could be, you know, sold. And if you are just telling about the market for this local resources, if you are just telling about the market, this is considered to be one of the plant-based meat alternative. And you know, the jackfruit, the raw jackfruit, when it is processed, it has got a neutral taste, and you will be able to convert this jackfruit into, for that matter, into even a you know, if you are making the cutlet with the jackfruit, you know, you add the chicken masala to it, it becomes a chicken cutlet. It tastes better than a chicken cutlet. It has got the texture of a chicken cutlet and whatever. So this is very much, you know, sold in a flexitarian economy like we have. You know, we are always you know, becoming a lot of health consciousness is happening in the economy. So what is happening is that, you know, you are tending to just move away from the meat kind of alternatives. It's not good for health. You know, it enhances the lifestyle diseases, is what is said about the red meat which is available. So you want to have other plant-based alternatives which will be having the same you know, texture or the taste. So this is one of an option. So what is happening is the mobilization of the local resources, so that you just transform yourself to a need which is coming out in the society. So this is the kind of a trend which is happening with the consumer. So why don't you use your resources in order to tap such kind of a market? So that is a kind of an alternative which is coming up. Then you have the simple technology. So why you know, MSMEs is important, and you know, the micro level enterprises, we can use the simple technology, simple kind of technology, or otherwise you can harness this what is known as a frugal innovation. If you just look at you know, some of the frugal innovations which has happened in India, was the case of you know, making the low cost sanitary napkins. And you know that India is a country where, you know, the people attach too much of taboo to the menstruation. And you know, the people in the villages are not, or women in the villages are not having access to the sanitary napkins. One reason is lack of awareness and lack of availability, and another thing is the high cost of the napkins. So they use a cloth kind of a thing, and the it is very much unhygienic when it comes to use of the cloth, because they treat it with a taboo. So what happens is that, you know, if it is possible to make a low cost alternative, so that you know, the women will be having access to the low cost sanitary napkins at the villages. This was one of the simple technology kind of an option which was worked out in many villages, and many people has worked out on it, and some has become successful. For example, if you just look at Arunachalam Muruganathan, who based at Coimbatore, he came up with a low cost technology which actually made a kind of a sanitary napkin which was affordable to the rural people, and which is sold to the rural people at a very lower cost. So the simple technology can also be adopted by this micro enterprises in order to, so this what actually happens is that the product is less costlier, and also it employs a lot of people. And this is rather can be seen as a social enterprise. So the social enterprise options could be worked out with the help of this kind of technology options. Then you have the promotion of the exports. So when you are just looking at the promotion of the exports, if you just look at the export kind of a contribution which is given by this MSME segment, it is very large. So since it has got an employment potential and an export potential, this sector should be very much supported, and it facilitates the development of the large scale enterprises as well. Why it is so? Like many of the peripherals manufacturing, when we are seeing the business plan, we are just trying to manufacture the peripherals. So that is a large scale enterprise where the peripherals could be just assembled out of the products which are manufactured by the small scale enterprises. So that could be the option, like even the small scale enterprises can support the large scale enterprises. So thus is the importance of MSMEs in the developing countries like India. Now we look up policies concerning the small scale industries. So if you are just trying to understand which are the policies concerning the small scale industries, we can see that there are a lot of industrial policies, the SSI policy statement itself, the central policies, the state policies, the priority sector, and the labor policies which are governing the small scale industries. So each of which you can access from these the respective websites, which gives a comprehensive coverage about what are the policies concerning the small scale industries. But from time to time, it can be observed that each of the policies has given a lot of thrust to the small scale industry. So we will see a subject matter or crux of these policies, what has happened to the industrial policies over the years, and what is that thrust which is given to the small scale industry sector as a matter of interest. Now if you are just looking at the industrial policy resolutions, if you just try to summarize that, the industrial policy resolutions happened in 1948, 1956, 77, 80 and 1990. Now each of these policies had a policy of a focus, a main objective behind that. So if we look at 1948 policy, it was protection. Then 1956, what they were trying to look at as protection plus development. So this is the focus on the small scale industrial sector. Now 1977, they looked at, or the policy makers looked at, protection plus development plus promotion. In 1980, protection plus development plus promotion was the focus of it. 1990, promotion of equality, technology and efficiency was the focus. So what is that measures which they were taking upon, and what was the target? Now if you look at the target, the SSI universe, it is the village based small enterprises, repair cum job shops, the units using local market, raw materials, labor, and hence locally self-sufficient in the initial phase. And we are looking at what is that principal measure which is involved? The raw material or cheap power or technical advice, marketing of products, safeguarding against the excessive competition from large units. Then when we are focusing on the protection plus development, the focus was on protection of the artisan based non-tech enterprise development, and the modern small scale industry for industrial consumer goods provide the capital skill. Then another focus was develop export based unit, achieve regional balance through the small scale industry, package of assistance and incentives, infrastructure, technological upgradation, etc. would be given, and reservation of the items for small scale industry. So there could be reservation of the items, the products that could be manufactured only under the small scale industry. So it is a protectionary policy. Now when it comes to 1977, the protection was not the focus alone, it was promoting, the focus was changed to development and promotion. So what is all about the protection plus development plus promotion? Protect labor intensive technology, promote small scale or tiny units, promote non-urban location, promote new first generation entrepreneurs and decentralized production. And in 1980, the protection plus development and promotion was the focus. Protect the labor intensive technology, promote small and tiny units, promote non-urban location, promote new first generation entrepreneurs, decentralized production, nuclear plan for SSI growth and reservation of the products for the small scale industry. In 1990, the liberalization came in, but the promotion of the equality, technology and efficiency was going to be the focus then onwards. But the promotion of small scale industry and agro based industries reservation and products and new lines to be identified. The capital investment and subsidy was to be continued for the backward areas, rural and backward areas. The technology centers for modernization, small industry development bank, facilities for the Khadi and Village Industries Corporation, etc. was envisaged. So you can see that there are a lot of measures envisaged for the small scale industry over the industrial policies over the years. So even if we had the liberalization which promotes the efficiency and equality, there is lot of focus, the thrust has not been lost for protecting this small scale industries. So even if the reservations for the items has been taken off for many items, but the supports and soaps which are given for enhancing the efficiency and the infrastructure that is required for the small scale industry is being envisaged by the government. The reason is that this enhances the development perspective of the government. You cannot be devoid of this small scale industry. So if you are just looking at the government policy, the central industrial policy resolutions will have a detailed outlook onto each of it. In the field of the industry, the government's objectives and intentions were announced through the 5 industrial policy resolutions. 1948, 56, 77, 80 and 1990. We saw a table which is concerning that. And if you look at the IPR, Industrial Policy Resolution of 1948, the small scale industry sector meant mainly rural industrial units, the small job cum repair shops, units making agricultural implements and urban small units and handloom weaving units weaving clothes. The greatest economic significance to these units to the Indian economy was their employment potential. And the main thrust of the IPR 1948 as far as the small scale sector was concerned was the protectionary policy. If you look at the industrial policy resolution of 1956, this was announced against the background of a bolder second 5-year plan with a long-term strategy for industrial and economic development. As to the small scale industry sector, the resolution envisaged a dual role: manufacture of the consumer goods such as clothes and manufacture of components of the newly established industry as a part of the program for long-term industrial development. Thus too, the earlier emphasis of protection was added development, and industrial policy for small scale industry was aimed at protection plus development. And IPR 1956 in a manner initiated the modern small scale industry in India. Then Industrial Policy Resolution of 1977. IPR was announced after a lapse of 2 decades. During the preceding decades, 2 major problems has been witnessed. First was a lopsided industrial development. Large, medium and small scale industries had become more of an urban phenomenon, and the other was the large scale unemployment. The issue of rural and urban educated and uneducated unemployment had started becoming difficult. And this situation led to a renewed emphasis on promotion of the typical employment generating small scale industry located in rural areas and small towns. And as a formula, it was scale of output that would be small, the locations specific, semi or urban or rural and technology and labor intensive. And this was the IPR which assigned a positive role to small scale industry in terms of wage employment of worker and self-employment of the entrepreneur. And to the earlier thrust of protection, development was added in this resolution, and promotion was also added. The SSI sector was thus to be protected, developed and promoted. So this was basically a phase change when it comes to the small scale industry development, where we were focusing on this unemployment problem. So as we said, the importance of small scale sector was one of the promoting the employment, and another thing is balancing the lopsided industrial development, which actually happens only in the urban area. So this could be actually transcended to the rural areas if we are using the local resources to harness the entrepreneurial potential. So thus the focus was on protection, development and promotion of it. Now if we are looking at the industrial policy resolution of 1980, this re-emphasized the spirit of the industrial policy resolution of 1956 with its strategy of large scale, high technology and heavy investment based key or basic industry. Nevertheless, the small scale industry sector remained as perhaps the best sector for generating wage and self-employment based opportunities in India. Then 1990 Industrial Policy Resolution. This was announced during the June 1990, and the basic aim is to introduce the measures of economic liberalization and simplified rules and procedures with a view to enhancing the technological base of the industry and accomplishing high levels of output. So it gave a special emphasis on the small scale industry or the small scale enterprises sector in which this employment opportunities are likely to be high. So the basic tenet of this industrial policy resolution of 1990 was enhancing the efficiency in the wake of the liberalization. We enhanced or we advocated a level playing field for everyone. There should not be a support. So that is what the liberalization says. The market is going to determine who is going to win and who is going to lose. But still the government has focused upon the small scale industry sector. The SOPs that are announced for the small scale industry sector is not being withdrawn, or they continue to support the small scale industry sector by creating a new small scale industry policy. So that was the outcome. So basically all these industrial policy resolutions tells you about what is that focus which is given to the small scale industry over the years, and we can see that this sector is being promoted by the government throughout the years after independence. Even now we have a lot of impetus to the small scale industries. So the next aspect we will be looking is the small scale industry policy. As we said, till 90 there was the industrial policy resolutions, after which we continued with the small scale industrial policy. So in the small scale industrial policy, the primary objective is to impart more vitality and growth impetus to the sector to enable it to contribute its might fully to the economy, particularly in terms of growth of output, employment and exports. And the sector has been substantially de-licensed. So in order to have alignment with the liberalization, more of impetus has to be given to the expansion of the sector, as well as having more of efficiency imbibed into the sector, but the vitality and the growth impetus to the sector has been conserved. So the policy has been designed so as to open it up and de-license, but still the support to the sector is also being enhanced, or rather being continued. Now if we look at the financial support measures that is available to the small scale industry sector, what are the policy initiatives that has been enhanced or continued? The subsidized or cheap credit only for the specified target groups has been ensured. The efforts to ensure both adequate flow of credit, the quality of its delivery and its quality of its delivery. To provide access to the capital, it has been decided to allow equity participation of other industrial undertakings in the MSME not exceeding 24% of the total shareholding. So Limited Liability Partnership Act will be introduced to enhance the supply of risk capital to the small scale sector, and setting up of factoring services through Small Industries Development Bank of India. So if you are looking at the financial support measures, the cheap subsidized credit will be continued, but it will be reserved for certain target groups. and also they will also try to see that there will be adequate flow of credit to the small scale industry sector, and the quality of the delivery should be ensured. Other than that, what they ensured is other services like factoring services. So factoring services, otherwise it is the bills receivable financing, the one area where the small scale industries are crippled. So this will be done with the support of the Small Industries Development Bank of India. Further, when you are just trying to register the small scale industries, as we had said, seen different types of organization, the Limited Liability Partnership Act. So the SSI registered as a limited liability partner will be giving more of ease to the small scale industrial units which is working in the segment. So this could be the financial support measures which are envisaged for the small scale industry. Then regarding the infrastructural facilities, the scheme of integrated infrastructural development, including the technical backup services for the small scale industry, has been envisaged, and technology development cell would be set up in the Small Industries Development Organization. It is known as a CEDO. So what CEDO does is the technology inputs to improve productivity and competitiveness of the products in the small scale sector. Then one of the areas where the small scale industries find very much problems is the marketing and the export segment. In addition to the export mechanism, market promotion would be undertaken through the cooperative or public sector institutions, other specialized professional marketing agencies and consortia approach backed up by certain incentives, such incentives. Then there should be, or there could be other institutions like the National Small Industries Corporation (NSIC), which concentrate on marketing of mass consumption items under the common brand name. Also industry association, for example the small industry associations, to establish subcontracting exchanges in addition to strengthening the existing ones under the Small Industries Development Organization. Export Development Center would be set up in CEDO to serve the small scale industries through its network of field officers to further augment export activities of this sector. So we can see that a number of organizations are concentrated having concentrated activities which are oriented towards marketing and exports of the products of the small scale industrial units. So all these focused efforts will be helping the small scale industries, although they are scattered in different segments. Now if you are looking at the modernization, technological and quality upgradation, there are some aspects to be looked into. The awareness to produce goods and services conforming to national and international standards, and industry associations would be encouraged and supported to establish quality counseling and common testing facilities. IITs and selected regional other engineering colleges will serve as technological information design and development centers in their respective command areas. So good impetus have been given to modernization, technological and quality upgradation of these products and services, so that they will be able to just serve under the small scale industry sector. So all those academic leading institutes will be encouraged to be leaders, and the engineering colleges, of course the engineering colleges will serve as this technological, as hubs of technological information design and development centers to guide these small scale industries. So promotion of entrepreneurship has been another area where the policy has given its impetus. The government will continue the first generation entrepreneurs through training, and also they will be conducting regular entrepreneurial development programs and entrepreneurial development programs that will be fitting into the curricula, and women enterprises to receive special thrust using the schemes which are available, or special schemes or special training programs to women to start the enterprises also will be taken up. And simplification of the rules and procedures. So the procedures would be simplified, bureaucratic controls will be effectively reduced, unnecessary interference eliminated, and paperwork cut down to the minimum to enable the entrepreneurs to concentrate on production and marketing functions. So it is very much essential that when we are trying to understand what is the ease of doing business, we say that the procedures should be simplified. And if it is easy to start the business, many people will be ready to start a business. And the bureaucratic controls and everything should be on the lower side, so that it will be producing or a limited kind of difficulty is created to the entrepreneurs. Only then these people will be continued or sustaining with the businesses, or this unnecessary interference in the form of controls and enforcements could be actually taking back the people from starting an enterprise. So this should be avoided, and only when the interference is required, such kind of interference should happen, and otherwise unnecessary controls and unnecessary bureaucratic hassles should be avoided when you are starting any kind of an enterprise, be it a small scale industry or be it a startup or any other kind of an industry. Then coming into the village industries, we have different sectors in the village industries, including the handloom sector. So handloom sector contributes almost 30% of the total textile production in the country, and the existing schemes will be redrawn and suitably revised under 3 major heads. So the first one is the project package scheme, and under this scheme, area based projects for product development, upgradation of technology and improvement of the marketing facilities will be drawn up. Next, we have the welfare package scheme, where the number of welfare schemes and quantum of funds earmarked for them will be substantially augmented. Another scheme is organizational development package, where the schemes for participation in the share capital will be redrawn under organizational development scheme for imparting a better management system in the existing state agencies. This is all about expanding the role of the National Handloom Development Corporation. Measures for improving the markets for handloom products, design and product development. You all know that handloom is one sector which has been very vehemently supporting the employment potential of the population, and this is all specialized sector as well, and some of the handlooms have gained what is known as a geographical indication, which is being targeted as one of the intellectual property rights. So it is possible that this segment, which is said to be, you cannot have a technology infusion into the handloom segment because it involves, it does not involve mechanization. So the indigenous practices what has been continued with the sector can be just preserved, and that has got a brand value. So when coming to the marketing of the handloom, such kind of an approach should be used. So there should be also impetus for the government to protect this indigenous kind of activities, like in Ernakulam you have the Chendamangalam handlooms, and if you just go to Kasaragod, you find what is known as a Kasaragod sarees, which is actually made on the handloom and has got a geographical indication. So all these traditional kind of activities should be preserved, and those having the skill should be given the impetus or kind of the mechanism of promotion of the people who are involved with this handloom development should be promoted, or otherwise this sector stands to be extinct, or there is every chance that the sector goes extinct, and you will not be able to take this to the next generation. At this point of time also, we are facing this problem of the next generation being moving away from the sector of weaving. Now comes what is known as a handicraft sector. Just like handloom, the schemes for training and development and design development for the production and marketing assistance will be given encouragement. The extension of the services like supply of raw materials, design and technical guidance, market support, training and procurement of raw materials and inputs in an integrated and area-based manner through setting up of craft development centers in the identified cluster of villages happen. So just like the handloom sector, handicraft sector also has to be, it is a special skill to make the handicrafts. So training for the design development and also the tools, and it is also possible in the handicraft sector to come up with the mechanized kind of a development, because the design only is important in this segment, and you can use the kind of equipments that makes this handicrafts. So whatever requirement is there in the handicraft sector, the extension of the services like the supply of raw materials, the design technical guidance, market support, and the training and procuring of the related materials could be the impetus given to this sector. And coming to the other village industries, activities of the Khadi and Village Industries Commission and the State Khadi and Village Industries Boards will be expanded, and greater emphasis on providing improvement of the quality and marketability of the products will be given, and the functional and industrial estates would be established, and R&D in KVI sector to be strengthened. So if you are just looking at the Khadi and Village Industries Commission, so this is one sector which promotes the artisans and kind of activities which are taken up at the rural, very small micro units. So this has to be given importance in the sense that providing training so that the quality and marketability of the products are improved, and also the functional industrial, so setting up of a functional industrial estate that will be providing impetus to the artisans to come together and provide or make a product that can be sold through the outlets of Khadi. So these kind of things have to be given the impetus, and R&D in the KVI sector also has to be improved, which has to be just funded by the government. Now, if you are coming to what are the government policies for promoting the small scale industries, there are specific policy instruments like the financial incentives, the fiscal incentives, the general incentives, special incentives in the backward areas, and reservation of the items for the small scale industry. So, we will see one by one as to what are these incentives which are offered by the government for support of the small scale industry. So, looking at the financial incentives, SIDBI provides direct assistance among others for specialized marketing agencies, industrial estates, acquisition of machinery and equipment, both indigenous and imported, seed capital scheme and national equity fund scheme, bill rediscounting and direct discounting scheme. So these are the financial incentives which are given by the Small Industries Development Bank of India. And SIDBI, for that matter, all of you know that that is a development bank which is concentrated on development of the small scale industries. So they create a fund which provides all types of financial assistances and incentives to the small scale industries to perform in a better manner. And state and local government provides financial subsidies like interest rate and capital subsidies, and water and electricity subsidies, and subsidies for the acquisition of the land. So subsidies are going to promote the small scale industries to an extent, so that the state and local governments are ready to provide the subsidy for the subsidies for the water and electricity that is used, the subsidies for the acquisition of the land kind of things. And also, apart from this financial incentives what is given to the small scale industry sector, we have what is known as the fiscal incentives, that is the investments allowance, tax holidays, additional depreciation for a new plant and machinery, and state and local electricity tariffs exemption. The government may provide exemption from the electricity tariff. So this could be the fiscal incentives that the state allows for some kind of deviation from the taxes that has to be allowed or that has to be charged on the small scale industry sector from time to time. Now, if you are looking at the general incentives, what are the things that are coming? These include, among other things, reservation of items for exclusive purchases from the small scale industry, price preference over medium and large units in the public sector, purchases, and scheme for self-employment to educated and unemployment youth. So the general incentives include reservation of the items, that is when the public enterprises are making a procurement, there is a policy that if there is a small scale industry which is coming to offer their products, it should be purchased from the small scale industry, and the procedure should be relaxed for the purpose. And the price preference over a medium and large scale units in the public sector purchases. Like even if the price of the small scale industry that product is high, you are expected to purchase it from the small scale industry if you are a public sector enterprise. And also there are also schemes like self-employment to educated unemployment youth, which can be used to upskill the youths, and they could be employed with the industry. So these are some of the general incentives which are given to the segment. Then the special incentives in the backward areas. Some of the schemes which are operational are concessional finance scheme, the transport subsidy scheme, the interest subsidy scheme, and income tax incentives. So these are some of the special incentives which are given in the backward area. Now there are reservation of the items. As per the policy, certain items have been exclusively reserved for the manufacturing in the MSME segment, and the objective is to protect the MSMEs engaged in the manufacturing of such items from the competition of medium and large scale units. So some areas has been reserved for the small scale industry sector, and the erstwhile policy of the reservation of exclusive manufacture in SSI sector has been done away with the de-reservation of the remaining 20 items reserved for the exclusive manufacture in SSI. So when they started with this deciding this policies, actually we were envisaging reservation of items. As of now, if you are just looking at as part of the deregulation and liberalization and increasing the efficiency of the small scale industries, no reservation is available for the items that could be manufactured under the small scale industry. Then if you look at what are the statutory boards which are being set up in order to protect the small scale industry: Khadi and Village Industries Board, Handloom Board, Handicrafts Board, Coir Board, Sericulture Board, and Small Scale Industries Board. So establishment of the industrial estates is another objective. Like the industrial estate is a place where you require facilities and factory accommodation are provided by the government to the entrepreneurs to establish their industry. So it is very easy to have a company established in an industrial estate, because many of the licenses will be done away with. Like you are getting a lot of exemption from taking a lot of licenses, because it is coming under the single window clearance, or already that is a zone where you don't require these kind of licenses. So this will be promoted as just like the special economic processing zones, or the economic processing zones, whatever. Then setting up of the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council for undertaking the activities of promotion of the small scale industry, including the cluster development. What we have set up is the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council, NMCC. So here we will be looking on to what are the government schemes for promotion of the small scale industry. So Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, PMEGP, merging two schemes, PMRY and REGP. The PMEGP program has been envisaged by the government, and that is a central sectoral scheme to be administered by the Ministry of MSME. The scheme is implemented by the Khadi and Village Industries Commission. The Market Development Assistance Scheme for Micro, Small and Manufacturing Enterprises, or Small and Micro Exporters. And the scheme offers funding for participation by manufacturing small and micro enterprises in international trade fairs, exhibitions under MSME India stall, sector specific marketing studies by industry associations, export promotion councils, Federation of Indian Export Association, initiating or contesting anti-dumping cases by small scale industry associations, reimbursement of 75% of one-time registration fee and 75% of annual fee paid to GSI by small and micro units for the first 3 years of barcode. So this is a scheme which is operating for the small scale industries. Basically they give the trust to the exporters and also to the market specific studies, and supporting the exporters in contesting the anti-dumping cases and getting the waiver for the registration fee for the small and micro units for getting the barcode, etc. Now there is a scheme for assistance to training institutions. So the scheme envisages financial assistance for establishing new institutions, entrepreneurial development institutes, strengthening of the infrastructure of the existing EDIs, and supporting entrepreneurship and skill development activities. The Rajiv Gandhi Udyami Mitra Yojana, a scheme of promoting hand-holding of micro and small enterprises. It has been observed that new entrepreneurs generally face difficulties in availing full benefits under available schemes of the governments or financial institutions, competing and complying with various formalities and legal requirements under various laws and regulations, and in selecting the appropriate technology tie-up with the buyers and sellers, etc. And also it provides hand-holding support during the initial stages of setting up and managing their enterprises. Now, there is something called as a micro and small enterprises cluster development program. The holistic development of selected MSCs clusters through value chain and supply management on cooperative basis. The technology upgradation, quality upgradation and certification and credit facilitation is the key under it. So, there is something called as a holistic development of the MSME clusters. So, what support is given to these clusters is in the form of technology upgradation, the quality upgradation, the certification and credit facilitation. And also they provide the marketing support including exposure to global markets and collective capacity building of the cluster units. So, you can see that under this micro and small investors cluster development program, what they look up is, giving support to technological upgradation, the quality upgradation, credit facilitation and the marketing support. So, there are, in a nutshell we can say that there are a lot of schemes which are operating for facilitating this MSMEs over different areas. So, it is for the MSMEs to find out as to what are the possible options that are before them and which fit into their kind of operation and for which you can avail the assistances from the government. So, there is something called as a credit guarantee fund scheme for this micro and small enterprises. So, the micro and small and medium enterprises and SIDBI establish a trust named Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises CGTMSE to make available collateral free credit to the micro and small enterprise sector. Both the existing and the new enterprises are eligible to be covered. Another one is the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. So, this is a Mudra Bank. It is a new institution being set up by the Government of India for the development and refinancing activities related to micro units. It was announced by the Finance Minister by presenting the Union Budget for financial year 2016. And the purpose of Mudra is to provide funding to the non-corporate small business sector through various last mile financing institutions like banks, NBFCs and MFIs, the microfinance institution. And the financial limit for the schemes are Shishu, that's a loan scheme and it covers the loans up to 50,000. The Kishore, the loans covering up to from 50,000 up to 5 lakh. Tarun covering loans from 5 lakh to rupees 10 lakh. And Mudra's delivery channel is conceived to be through the route of refinance to primarily banks, NBFCs and the microfinance institutions. So, the Mudra Yojana is one scheme and I think we have discussed about this kind of a scheme and particularly it is a financing scheme of this bank and when we were discussing the sources of financing. So, what are the other schemes which are possible under the small scale industries? So, the integrated infrastructural development scheme, and under this scheme the central government would contribute 5 crore in the ratio of 2:3 for the development of the industrial infrastructure in rural and backward areas. And the objective of this scheme is to provide location of MSMEs in rural and backward areas and facilitate the linkage between agriculture and industry. Then we have the preferential government purchases, government purchase and price preference policy for the micro and small enterprises. Government of India has been extending various facilities to the MSEs registered with the National Small Industries Corporation NSIC under its single point registration scheme. And in addition to facilities, 358 items are also reserved for exclusive purchase from MSE sector. Now we come to the scheme specific for the woman entrepreneur. Mahila Udyami Yojana, IDBI, the Industrial Development Bank of India, has set up a special fund under this scheme with a corpus of rupees 5 crore to provide seed capital assistance to women entrepreneurs intending to start projects in the small scale industry sector. So, this scheme is implemented by SIDBI. 51% of the equity should be managed by women. Seed capital is provided as soft loan. 15% of the fixed cost without insisting on security. The promoter should contribute at least 10% of the fixed cost, and repayment is for 10 years with a moratorium period of 5 years, and the debt equity ratio should be 3:1. So this is specific women specific schemes, and 51% of the equity has to be in the name of a woman. Then SBI 3 Shakti package, and under this EDPs are exclusively designed and conducted for women entrepreneurs, and rupees 25,000 is provided without any collateral security. Then Priyadarshini Yojana, it is implemented by the Bank of India. Financial assistance is provided to women entrepreneurs who shall take up a small businesses, retail traders, transport, auto rickshaws, professional and self-employed, and who can take up allied agricultural activities, and maximum loan is up to 2 lakhs for the term loan and 1 lakh for the working capital. Assets acquired with the finance are hypothecated as security. Repayment period is 3 to 5 years, and margin money is 20% depending upon the type of activity. So these are basically the schemes which are provided by the banks especially for the women. The trade related entrepreneurship assistance and development for women. TRADE is a scheme for giving trade related assistance to women entrepreneurs in the form of loans, grants, trade related training and information, counseling and extension services. So what is that organizational support to small scale industry? The Small Scale Industries Development Organization, National Institute for Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development, the EDI, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, the Technical Consultancy Organizations, TCOs, State Level Institutions, SLOs, Khadi and Village Industries Development Scheme, KVICs, the Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI, the National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board, NSTEDB, the National Small Industries Corporation, NSIC. So what is the Small Industries Development Organization doing? SIDO is also known as the Office of Development Commissioner, SSI, under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Ministry of Industry, Government of India, New Delhi. This acts as a nodal agency for the development of this sector. It has a large number of field agencies which is specialized for this purpose. SIDO's activities, they provide the support services like Small Industry Service Institute. So there are 28 such service institutes, and there are branch institutes as well. So what they do the economic consultancy and information, trade and market information, project profiles, state industrial potential survey, district industrial potential survey, modification in plan studies. So these are some of the services that are provided which will be helping the entrepreneurs to take up the enterprises. So the technical consultancy or the project preparation kind of an assistance could be given by the Small Industry Service Institute. So another aspect in which they are specializing is conducting the regional testing centers or establishing the regional testing centers and the field testing stations. So what they provide is testing facilities, training programs, consultancy services, tool rooms and tool design institutes, assistance in tool design, manufacture of tools, jigs, furnitures, molds, etc. The training facilities to the tool makers. The Process and Product Development Center serves as an R&D institution in various dense industry clusters, product design and innovation, product and process improvement. Then what else is the entrepreneurship development? Various types of EDP programs are run by the Small Industry Service Institutes and branch Small Industry Service Institutes. Now what is that Small Industry Service Institute specialized at? The Small Industry Service Institute have been set up in the state capitals and places all over the country to provide consultancy and training to small entrepreneurs, both existing and prospective. The main functions of the Small Industry Service Institute include to serve as an interface between the central and the state government, to render technical support services, to conduct entrepreneurship development programs, to initiate promotional programs, etc. The Small Industry Service Institute also render assistance in the following areas: the economic consultancy and information or EDP consultancy, trade and market information, the project profiles, the state industrial potential surveys, district industrial potential surveys, modernization in plan studies, the workshop facilities and training in various trade activities. Then you have the National Small Industries Corporation. It was set up in 1995 to provide machinery to small scale units on hire purchase basis to assist these units in obtaining the orders from government departments and offices. They provide assistance to develop small scale units as ancillary units to large scale industries. They provide impetus to impart training to the industrial workers. They provide assistance for marketing the product of small scale industries at home and abroad, to help the small scale industries in procurement of scarce and imported raw material, to obtain orders for the small scale industry units from the government department and offices, to provide machinery to small scale units on hire purchase basis, to construct industrial estate and establish run prototype production and training center. So basically it is all about providing assistance in procurement of the raw material, assisting in conducting the trainings, assisting in production, design, and also assistance to market. So an all round development of the small scale industry units which are specific to the allocation or the specialization of the National Small Industries Corporation. They can assist the small scale industries through their activities. Then you have the National Institute for the Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development, NASBUD. This is apex body for coordinating and overseeing various activities of various institutions and agencies. The institute's training activities are focused on areas stimulating, supporting and sustaining entrepreneurship. This plays a supportive and catalytic role by helping organizations which are directly or indirectly engaged in promoting and developing entrepreneurship and self-employment in the country. So this institute provides as a nodal agency for conducting the trainings and allowing the people to take up entrepreneurship. The Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, EDI. The EDI was set up in 1983. The mission of the EDI is to augment the supply of industrial entrepreneurs through education and training. So it is a one of its kind in the country, where it has focused on the entrepreneurship programs at the PG level and to produce the multiplier effect on opportunities for self-employment, to improve the managerial capabilities of the small scale enterprises. They conduct a lot of trainings in that segment, to contribute to the dispersal of business ownership and thus to expand the social base of Indian entrepreneurial class, to contribute to the creation and dissemination of the new knowledge and insight in the entrepreneurial theory and practice through research, to augment the supply of trainer motivators for entrepreneurship development, to participate in the institution building efforts, to collaborate with similar organizations in India and other developing countries to accomplish the above objectives. So this is a premier development institute, which is a national level institute which is focusing on the entrepreneurship development for the young generation. They allow the entrepreneurs to have a or the potential entrepreneurs to have a training which is essentially helping them to set up the self-employment, and they do undertake the research and training and also conducting the international kind of trainings and collaborations. Now another organization is the Technical Consultancy Organization, TCOs. They provide appropriate and inexpensive consultancy services to small and new entrepreneurs. So one of the areas where the entrepreneurs find it very difficult to survive is the consultancy. For getting the consultancy services, they have to pay the money, and the consultants charge as a part of the percentage of the project cost. So in many cases, what happens to the small scale industries is that they will not be in a position to pay the high cost consultants to get these services. So the TCOs are providing such kind of an opportunity to the small scale entrepreneurs to avail the services of these small and new entrepreneurs. The TCOs have been set up to provide a package of total consultancy services to the state governments, the state level development financing institutions and the banks. And the major thrust of TCOs operations is the preparation of the project reports and the feasibility studies, identification of the potential entrepreneurs and their training, project implementation, rehabilitation, the management consultancy, detailed design engineering, turnkey services beside the energy audit and conservation. So, these are the major thrust areas where the preparation of the project reports that could be done by the TCO. So, that is very much useful to the small scale entrepreneurs. They will be able to just get the project report done at a very low cost. Now, another organization is Khadi and Village Industries Development Scheme, KVIDS. The Khadi and Village Industries provide an opportunity for the non-farm employment to the rural people. And KVIC grants loans to Khadi Gramodyog units directly or through state level Khadi and Village Industry, KVIB. And center and the state governments provide guarantees on loans given by commercial banks to Khadi and Village Industries Board. Then you have the Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI. It is a main provider of term finance to the small scale sector in the country, and it is a development bank. The small scale industry units, artisans, village and cottage industrial units in the tiny sector, and small road transport operators are extended financial assistance through refinance through the primary lending institutions like the SFCs, the State Industrial Development Corporations, and the banks. So, it is the banks or all these agencies which are giving the loans to the small scale industries, and SIDBI does the function of refinancing. So, all these institutions are financed again by the SIDBI in order to provide the finance to this specific kind of segments. And SIDBI directly discounts the bills and also rediscounts those bills that are discounted by the banks. So, this is one facility which is offered by the SIDBI directly to the entrepreneurs, like they provide the discounting of the bills, and even the commercial banks, if they have bills of the small scale industry being discounted by the bank, they can get it rediscounted. Just like refinancing, they can also have the facility of rediscounting these bills with the banks. And SIDBI has also introduced direct finance schemes for specialized marketing agencies, subcontracting or ancillary units, and infrastructure development agencies. And SIDBI has been providing assistance to well-run companies on a selective basis for acquiring machinery and equipment, both indigenous and imported, modernization and expansion, diversification, balancing scheme, etc., under its equipment finance scheme. And the project loans are also considered on a selective basis. And it also provides assistance for working capital, credit rating, and quality certification and vendor development. And besides, SIDBI operates a venture capital for support to ventures in the small scale sector, which have special features in terms of technology, market prospects, or return on investment or entrepreneurial profile. Now, another institution is National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board. Constituted by DST, it operates Entrepreneurship Development Program and has recently launched a pilot project called Open Learning in Entrepreneurship Development Training Program in order to develop the spirit of entrepreneurship among engineering graduates and the youth. Now, state level, coming into the state level institutions, SLIs, there is a Small Industries Corporations providing assistance to and facilitating the entrepreneur in setting up small scale industrial ventures, providing scarce raw materials to the small scale industry sector, extend marketing support to small scale industrial sector, promote exports of small scale industry sector. Then you have the state financial corporations, provide long term finance for setting up smaller projects within their region. Then you have the State Industrial Development Corporation, SIDCs, primarily working as development banks promoting industrial projects in small and medium scale. They participate in ventures of private individuals in setting up industrial ventures in joint and assisted sector. You have the state promotional level promotional institutions. So, what are the state promotional institutions? There is a KITCO, the Kerala Industrial and Technical Consultancy Organization. It was established by IDBI in association with the Government of Kerala and other national and state level financial institutions and banks. It has been established with the objective of meeting technical consultancy needs of entrepreneurs in small, medium and large scale industrial sectors. Now, Kerala State Small Industries Development Corporation, SIDCO, it took shape in 1975 with the merger of two other corporations, namely Kerala State Small Industries Corporation, KSSIC, and the Kerala Employment Promotion Corporation, KEPCO. The responsibilities are, it undertakes construction of industrial sheds and development of infrastructure. It implements sick units rehabilitation programs jointly with IRBI, Industrial Reconstruction Bank of India. It provides technical consultancy services. It allots sheds or industrial plots in the industrial estates. It assists in selecting or procuring machinery. It supplies scarce and important raw materials for the benefit of small scale industry through its sales depot in all districts, and the corporation makes marketing assistance to small scale industry units. So, SIDCO is doing a very good lot of activities, including supporting the small scale industry in getting their raw material, providing technical consultancy, providing the marketing assistance, and even providing the space that is required for the small scale industry. Then you have the Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation, KSIDC. It was registered as a limited company on 21st July 1961 with the objective of organizing, stimulating and assisting industrial development in Kerala. The functions are not only it is not only a financing body but also a promotional institution to help the intending industrial entrepreneurs, and also it provides the financial assistance and promotional assistance, including other functions like management of SIC units, assistance to state sector projects, assistance to advising government or industrial matters, development of the mineral resources, and also corporation has also added new dimensions to the sphere of activities so as to cover IDBI refinance schemes, seed capital assistance, Kerala's new package of assistance and entrepreneurial assistance. So, again, as KSIDC is offering a lot of financial and promotional assistance along with seed capital, and the startup entrepreneurs are also given assistance under various schemes of Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation. So, it is one of the nodal agencies in Kerala which provides assistance to the development of the MSMEs too. The Kerala Financial Corporation, KFC, it provides the financial assistance for starting new industrial units, expansion, diversification or modernization of existing units. It has introduced the following schemes: the Technocrats Assistance. Any person with a degree or diploma in engineering or technology is eligible for the assistance. They provide the assistance to the SC and ST entrepreneurs. The corporation gives 90% of the cost of fixed assets for loans not exceeding 50,000 per person and 1 lakh if there are more than one. The single window scheme is also envisaged for the purpose. The single window scheme is for a grant of term loan and working capital to new micro and small units whose project cost does not exceed 20 lakhs, and total working capital requirement is within 10 lakhs. The special capital assistance, it has created a special capital fund with the objective of providing equity type of assistance for soft terms for entrepreneurs who have necessary skill and experience but lack of financial resources to set up small scale industry unit, the Kerala Financial Corporation. Then you have the Kerala Industrial and Infrastructure Development Corporation, KINFRA. This acts as a single point contact for clearance required for different agencies or departments. They procure the land on behalf of medium and large scale industries outside the industrial estates or industrial development areas by purchase, lease or exchange from any other person, to allot the developed plots to or sheds to entrepreneurs on terms and conditions as may be determined by the corporation. Ensure provision of good quality infrastructure facilities to establish, maintain, develop and manage industrial estates, to promote and assist in the rapid and orderly development, growth and development industries in the state. Now we come to the topic of industrial sickness. We know that we are dealing with a segment which are having a lot of problems out there. So, what could be the causes of the industrial sickness? What are the problems afflicting this small scale industry segment? That is one thing what we need to understand. So, in this section we will be dealing with what are all the possibilities that the small scale industry is falling short of the success. So, when you are just trying to tell about the MSMEs, the one problem that they have is they are operating on a smaller scale. So, when you are operating on a smaller scale, what is that afflicting them? You will not have the fund for the expansion, you will be in crunch of funds for doing your promotions, you will be in crunch of funds in order to market your products, and a lot of problems might arise which will be crippling your unit. So, this could be eventually leading up to the lack of efficiency of the enterprise. And what could be the problems leading to such inefficiencies? is that we studied about a lot of schemes and supporting systems which is promoting the small scale industries, and that being too large, and why the small scale industries are not able to come beyond a particular point, or they are not able to just catch up with the other industries, or they are not able to graduate beyond a point, or otherwise the scaling up is not happening. So what could be the reason for that? So the one could be the lack of managing experience. If you look at the small scale industries or the micro enterprises for that matter, what happens is that they tend to copy from the other industries, or otherwise you can just tell, like it could be called as a business rather not an enterprise. So they lack the managerial experience, or they lack that vigor or the passion what an entrepreneur needs to have. So basically in such cases what happens is that they will be running low key, and they want to just sustain their livelihoods. So they themselves might not have that impetus for maintaining the tempo in graduating the enterprise to the next level. Then another problem is that they run on traditional lines. So what happens is that the traditional kind of activities could be carried out by this enterprises, and basically they could be like Fabian or drone enterprises, which they don't want to expand beyond a point. So they are hesitant to look at new technologies. They are hesitant to just strive for achieving new heights. So that means that the traditional lines of activity will be followed, and they don't want to expand to beyond a particular level. Then lack of machinery, proper machinery and equipment. So this also appears as a problem, like you'll be, one problem is that the resource scarcity will be always afflicting you. So whatever machinery is available, with the machinery, even though it is inefficient, or even though it does not suit your capacity, or sometimes it happens that you have the machinery, but you don't have the resources to run it to the full capacity, so that you have what is known as the scaling, the economies of scale. So all these things are going to affect you. Then another problem could be the lack of technical know-how. So the small scale entrepreneur always thinks about just sustaining his business, and one of the problems that may prompt him to just sustain, or just have a sustainability kind of a perspective, or they do not want a growth perspective, is that one is the lack of technical know-how, and another could be the inadequate finance. So that is again inadequate finance. We say about a lot of supporting kind of an arrangements for the government is sharing upon the small scale and micro enterprise units. Instead of that, in spite of that, these people are not able to find the adequate finance in order to finance these entrepreneurs out there. Then irregular supply of the raw materials could be one thing what is afflicting these entrepreneurs. Like one problem is like you will not be able to get the frequent supply or regular supply of the raw materials due to the reason that you are not in a cycle, you are not able to run the cycle to the fullest extent. The problem of marketing, as I said, like marketing is the key to any business, but the problem of the funds and lack of the expertise will make you somewhat averse from the marketing field, and at the end of the day you will not be able to reach your end customers. So at the end of the day, creating lot of rejections, or the customers being unaware of your product may not land upon your product, land upon the purchase of the product, and can result in the obsolescence of whatever type of products what you have supplied in the market. The problems of the MSMEs also might be affected by the personal problems. The personal problems include like what happens in the case of the sick MSMEs or the clearly non-performing MSMEs is that the labor may not be paid that high. So what happens is that employee attrition happens. So it is pretty much difficult for the person to find another person for the employment, train him, and there could be a lag in the production process, or in order to run the enterprise there could be a number of persons, few number of persons, and from which there is a attrition which will in fact affect the running of the micro enterprises, micro or small enterprises. And in most of the cases we have found that these employees themselves, they start other micro enterprises after getting adequate experience, so the owner is left without any other person to just work for. And in SIC units, what happens is that they are not able to provide the wages to these laborers, and sometimes because of loyalty they stay back, or otherwise what happens is that they will be leaving for just getting earning their income, which cannot be just avoided. So these kind of personal problems also might be affecting this MSMEs. And there could be lack of clear cut policy of the government. So the lack of clear cut policy of the government, in the sense that how this MSMEs could be taken forward, or there are a host of agencies that are working for the development of the MSMEs, but there is no focused effort in bringing this sector forward. Of course, there are the numbers that is being created, of course there is a lot of employment that is being created, the economic activity is being spurred in the sector, but the lack of policy or a focused kind of a policy is lacking in the sector, which actually gives a little bit slack on the part of development of this MSMEs. Then there could be bogus units. Now, what is a bogus unit? It's a paper unit, or the unit which does not function. So in fact, because of the lot of support which is given to the units, the actual units which are working, which are eligible, they do not have the access to these finances or the support system, but these bogus units are very much efficient. In that case, they gain the support and gain the support system or the finance or the subsidies that may be available, but they do not do any work. So they could be the paper units what might happen. And also other problems could be detected, the sectoral kind of a problem that could be detected in the case of this medium and small scale enterprises. Now coming to a SIC unit, what is the definition of a SIC unit? The RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has given the definition for a SIC unit. So it incurs cash losses for 1 year and is likely to continue to incur cash losses for the current year as well as the following year, and has an imbalance in its financial structure as the current ratio is less than 1:1 and worsening debt equity ratio. They have the cumulative losses exceeding the capital and reserves. So the Reserve Bank of India is telling that consecutive 3 years of losses is defining you as a SIC units. And also if your current ratio is falling below 1:1, so you are not able to pay your current liabilities with the current assets that you have, the cumulative losses exceed the capital and reserves, and under this situation you can call it as a SIC unit. Now what are the signals of the industrial sickness? Signals is important in the sense that you should be able to identify the signals in the initial phase, and if you are able to correct it, suppose you will be able to just revive this industrial unit without falling into a state of where you are not able to revive it. So first signal could be the decline in capacity utilization. Of course, when we have shortage of the funds, what we do? We cut down on the production. So there could be a decline in the capacity utilization, which could not be improved just because of the shortage of the funds. Then shortage of the liquid funds to meet the short term financial obligations. So this, when it gradually comes, the overdue mounts and you are not in a position to just pay off your obligations. For example, if you just tell about the current account which is maintained by a industrial unit, what happens is that you might have an overdraft. But when the liquidity crunch is going to hit you, what happens is that this overdraft limits will be overdrawn. Even after the limits, you tend to have the requirements. You will not be able to pay this overdrafts which you have already drawn. So you reach a space or reach a place where you are overburdened and you are you are defaulting. Then inventories in excessive quantity. It could be the inventories of the raw materials or inventories of the stock in trade. So you are not able to sell the product, and also the inventories of raw materials could not be converted into the finished products just because of the lack of money to utilize the capacity. So this is also creating a kind of a trouble for the SIC unit, for the units to become SIC. The irregularity in maintaining the bank accounts is another problem. So we have said the example of this overdraft account, or that matter, for that matter it may be any other loan which is taken from the bank, which may be specified of having this irregularity. Once you have a break in the funds that you receive, the first thing what you may default is your bank loan. So irregularity in the maintaining the bank accounts can be an indicator. If you are detected to have an NPA, after 3 months, if you are not able to pay your loan, bank tends to put it as an NPA, and after which you will be under monitor by the bank. The frequent breakdowns in the plant and equipment because of non-maintenance, because of lack of funds. The first thing what you might cut off is the maintenance of the plant and machinery. So frequent breakdowns can be the, and even the frequent breakdowns can be the other way around. The machinery, the problem with the machinery can also make you sick. Then decline in the quality of the product manufacturer or service renders. Once you land onto the problem, see, the problems mount up if at all you are not able to solve it at the point where the problem is detected. So what happens is that it gradually affects the quality of the product manufactured or service rendered. At the end of the day, it is being declined means, you'll not be able to just come out of that, because your consumer tends to believe that your value has deteriorated, and that goes into the mind of the consumer. Even if you revive, sometimes it will be very much difficult to push that stamp out of the consumer's mind that this was of a bad quality. And delay or default in the payment of the statutory dues such as provident fund, sales tax, excise duty, state employees, insurance, etc. are some kind of a statutory funds that has to be just paid every month or in every required installments. So this will not be paid just because of the reason you don't have any funds. There could be decline in the technical efficiency, as we said that the capacity utilization will be low, and of course when you have the low capacity utilization, the technical efficiency is will go down, and the economies of scale of operations you cannot achieve, and the cost tends to be on the higher side. So frequent turnover of the personnel of the industry. When you turn sick, you will not be able to pay your wages on time, and the personnel will be shifting in search of greener pastures. So you cannot just complain with that, because they have to be paid money. So this will be affecting the industry, leading to further sickness. So these are the signals of the industrial sickness. Once you identify that there is a sickness, you have to just take up with whatever ameliorative measures that you have. Find out as to what are the possibilities, that you find out any kind of measures to avoid this kind of sickness, in order to come up or come out of this sickness. What are the methods through which you can just revive your business? All these things should be just taken up. So these are the signals. So which are the number of sick, medium, small and micro enterprises, MSMEs. So if you just look at the number, so since it is a figure which is from 2013, which was published by the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. In 2010, if you just look, in Kerala there was 5078 enterprises which were sick. In India, you look at it is 77,723. So when you make a comparison with the latest year available, that is 2013, you will find that there is more number, 8663. You come up with a lot of policy, you come up with a lot of supporting kind of a thing, but at the end of the day, the MSMEs are not able to survive. And in India, the number has gone so big, 2,20,492. The same is the case of the medium enterprises. In Kerala, it increased from 19 to 36, and in India, it increased from 2117 to 3044. So the numbers are increasing in spite of having a lot of things. So what are the causes of industrial sickness? Actually, we can differentiate the causes of industrial sickness between the external causes and internal causes. So what could be the external causes of industrial sickness? So what do you mean by the external causes? So the external causes are the causes which does not come under your control. So something which is happening outside, but it affects your organization. For example, changes in the industrial policies of the government. For example, if there was a policy like a green policy of the government, so no more flexes. What happened to the flex industry? They had to shut down. No more plastic. That's a policy of the government. So all those plastic industries are affected. So then what else? The inadequate availability of the inputs such as raw materials, labor, power, then transport facilities, etc. due to external factors. This could be another factor which is affecting the industries. Then there could be the industrial unrest. For example, what happens that in some industries, what happens that in the labor bargaining is on the higher side. So the laborers demand more of wages, more of requirements. So what happens is that there are industrial unrest, which will actually lead to a problem with the industry. When there is a labor strike, the production capacity, the production has to be laid down, and sometimes you have to call for a layoff just because of the strikes, continuous strikes which happen. So this industrial unrest also might lead to sick industry. The natural calamities like the flood or drought also might lead to sickness. For example, 2018 Kerala floods, you might remember, all those handloom industry was destroyed. Not only handloom, all those shops and establishment near to the flood streams were destroyed in the floods which was occurred in 2018. So the natural calamities is one thing what you cannot control and we cannot predict. So these are external factors which could cause a devastating impact upon your industry, and there is no control over that. So you have to just find out means. Resilience has to be the find out means with the support of the government, with the support of the civil society, with the support of other organizations or beneficiaries or some other kind of an aspect. How do you just come out of the situation? Then there could be the internal causes. Now what are the internal causes? So the internal elements like the lack of good management, your management expertise is on the lower side, the poor implementation of the projects, the marketing problems, non-availability of the raw materials, shortfall of the working capital or labor trouble or operational or technical problems. So all these problems which are listed out tends to crop up from your organization itself. So you are not able to manage this. So in this case what happens is that it will lead to performance inefficiency, and which will lead to sickness. So gradually what happens is that the performance of the organization come down and you are not able to just control that inefficiency what happens in the organization. At the end of the day, this will be leading to industrial sickness. So what could be the government policy? A number of measures have been taken to tackle the problem of industrial sickness, and the importance of detection of the sickness at the incipient stage has been emphasized by the Reserve Bank of India. And the policy framework in respect of measures to deal with the problem of industrial sickness has been laid down in the guidelines issued on October 1981, which was subsequently modified in February 1982. So there are some concessions available. So what are those concessions? So in fact, you provide a lot of assistances, and you can take a loan from a bank. But when you are sick unit, even if the bank is ready to give you loan, they will tell that 80% will be given as loan, 20% you have to take from your pocket. That's known as a margin money, and you will not have the money to take this margin money as well. So what happens is that you need a support to raise this margin money as well. So a scheme for provision of this margin money to sick units in the small scale sector at soft terms to enable them to obtain necessary funds from the banks and financial institutions to implement their revival scheme has been introduced from January 1st, 1982. Moreover, the financial assistance in the form of long-term equity up to Rs 15 lakh to units with project cost not exceeding Rs 10 lakhs at a nominal service charge of 1% is available to potentially viable sick small-scale industries from the National Equity Fund. Now, another aspect is reviving the sick units. The central government has set up a board for financial and industrial and financial reconstruction (BIFR) with effect from 12 January 1987 in pursuance of the enactment of the Sick Industrial Companies Special Provision Act of 1985. And this is a major step for intervening and at an early stage and detecting, preventing, as well as making ameliorative, remedial and such other measures which will be taken with respect to sick and potentially viable companies. So there is a BIFR which takes care of the revival of the sick units. The Small Industries Development Fund, this is a fund which was established in 1986, which is meant to provide special financial assistance to the small scale sector, not only for the development, expansion and modernization, but also reviving rehabilitation of the small units, the sick units. The government has taken the following steps for the revival of the closed or sick MSMEs. So the revised guidelines for the rehabilitation of the sick MSMEs include early detection of the sickness, a viability study to form the basis of rehabilitation package to potentially viable MSMEs. So once you identify that there is a sickness, you go for a viability study in order to form a strategy for maintaining this or reviving this as a rehabilitation package. And you identify which are the potentially viable units, and the rehabilitation package has to be recommended. a non-discretionary one-time settlement scheme for the MSE sector. So sometimes you have a lot of defaults and kind of things. So one-time settlement is offered to the sector for enhancing the revival or enabling the revival of that particular segment. So Ministry of MSME has issued a framework for revival and rehabilitation of the MSMEs via a Gazette notification dated 29/5/2015 for the purpose of facilitating the promotion and development of the MSMEs. So the Small Industries Development Bank of India has also introduced management restructuring of stressed assets and rehabilitation scheme for the MSMEs. And these schemes provide for relief and concessions in the form of reschedulement, reduction in rate of interest, funding of overdue, funding future interest and interest and waiver, etc., as well as the need-based additional finance assistance for revival of MSME SIC units. So this is being provided by the Small Industries Development Bank of India. Now, what are the suggested remedies? Some of the effective measures which may be taken for the revival SIC units are technical help, professional counseling and improved management. So basically we identified that the problems is that they are not technically competent or managerial, they lack the managerial capacity to improve these units. And also the role of professionals and experience management becomes more important at times of sickness. So if you get a consultation as to how to get beyond this sickness, sometimes it is possible that you will be reviving the sick unit. So that kind of a consultancy could help. And in addition to the technical and professional consultants, no SIC industry will be able to recuperate without sufficient and timely and soft finance. So soft finance is also one of the requirement. The role of bankers need to be redefined and a new direction needs to be given to support, aid and lift SIC industrial units from the situations that befall them. It is also the level of service and support in terms of financial advice, assistance in related matters of insurance, release of hypothecated assets and timely finance. So the finance is required, consultation is required, technical help is required. The financiers should support the SIC units, be patient with the SIC units and sometimes what happens is that if you are patient with the SIC units, maybe the SIC unit will revive. So these are the recommendations which help you to observe and come out of the sickness. Thank you.